Welcome back. Right now we're going to paint the easiest watercolor painting you've ever painted. And I have to give credit where credit is due. It's not mine. I saw it several years ago on YouTube. I think the lady's name was the Crafty Painter. But these are a couple of examples of this kind of painting. And this one has no border. This one has a border. It starts out the same way. Here's another one. Done this many times as demos. So let's get started on this thing, boys and girls. Got my materials ready here. I have my watercolor palette. I have my paintbrushes, small, medium, and large. I have my water, paper towel, my watercolor paper, a little heavy duty watercolor paper here, taped down to a piece of cardboard. And with this one, we're going to begin by using the three primary colors, and you all know those are red, yellow, and blue. Hopefully you know that. So I'm going to drop some water in here. A couple drops of water on the red, a couple drops, the yellow's already wet from previous yellow, a couple of drops of water on the blue. You see I kind of grabbed that a little bit. Wash that brush out. Now this time we're going to be using a big brush. This is a 1-inch brush, but a 3/4 inch would be great, or 1 inch is fine. And you really kind of need the 1-inch brush for this. I'm going to get my brush wet too, because I don't want to just suck up all that color and have it go in that brush. So I'm gonna start out with, well actually, let me start back over here. Let me wash the brush out, dab it there on the color. And we're gonna do a vertical painting. So we're gonna start out with blue. And we're gonna grab some blue. We can water it down a little bit here. And I've got a little yellow in my tray from before, but it's okay. So I'm gonna get some blue on there. And the reason you need a big brush is because you're going to make some big color strokes all the way across. I'll go here, here, and I'm going to go reload my brush, go down at the bottom. You can see that paper has kind of a texture about it there as I'm going across. If you wanted a little more blue, we'll do that. This is going to be your background. You see that paper, very absorbent. Washing that brush out pretty good. One more time. And I'm going to do some red now. Doing the red over here. Maybe a little more water. Grabbing that red. Loading that red right here in my brush. Oh yeah, that's good. That's so good. Now we're going to take this red and we're going to go over top of our blue. Maybe a little more red here. And this is, your blue hasn't dried. We're just overlapping it a little bit. Blue and red together make what? Yeah, violet or purple. I'll wash that brush out, and then I'm going to go here, grab some more of this red. Maybe I need a little more. I don't know if I like this paper. And I'm going to wash this brush out. Now we're going to use yellow in the center. Yellow here. Yellow through the center because I want it nice and yellow before I do any overlapping. I'm going to go here. Boom. I'm going to go here. And those are going to bleed together pretty nicely. Now we're going to let this dry. A little tiny. Okay, I'm letting this dry now, and while it's drying, I want you to start thinking about your composition of your page. I've got a little kind of a dark spot up here, but I'm perfectly okay with that. That's going to work out pretty good, maybe. So like there's actually 3 levels to this, okay? There's your background, and you may or may not put a little sunball in there, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. And depending on how much you blend these colors, you may get oranges in here, and you may get purples in here, but everybody's will be a little bit different. And that's okay, that's how it should be. So let's talk about the 3 layers or levels. So you have a background, you have a middle ground, and then you have a foreground. Part of making this look good and realistic is doing 3 layers, whether you choose a palm tree up here or not, okay? And now what I mean by not is maybe you'll just do a little beach up here, but it's going to be darker. So this is also kind of a silhouette painting. The birds are optional. The pine trees optional, the islands are optional, but you got to put something here in the middle ground, okay? And so what I like to do a lot of times is I'll plan it out maybe with a pencil, like here, example. In this one, I've got kind of a sketch here that I'm going to have some islands here. You can adjust that. Important point here is that these islands, the bottom has to look fairly horizontal or flat. I'm going to put a little lighthouse here on this, maybe some trees as I develop these islands. But always you have to have a foreground with some trees or something there, not always trees. Be right back. Okay guys, let's go back at this. So we're going to more black out here because we're going to work on that lighthouse. Maybe some more purple. So we want a silhouette. I'm actually going to wet the brown. My water, by the way, is getting dirty looking. So I'm going to, brown. Okay, now I'll show you why here. I've got some brown on there. I'm going to go through here. And see my line that I've got drawn there? I purposely did that on a diagonal. And I'm going to do horizontal kind of strokes. Maybe even use a bigger brush here. I didn't wet that brush. That's going to really hinder. So I'm going to do this like this. Be like the maybe an ocean out there a little bit. I'll come back to that in a minute. Now just some more pure color right through here. Oh, that blue is nice. Maybe I need some of that blue right through here. You know, maybe this is a little rock ledge that thing's standing on. So we're just laying in some color. We'll come back and make this more dark after that dries a little bit. So wash my brush out, dry. I'm going to use my smaller brush now with the purple and the black, maybe a little bit of white or blue. Now, someone asked me a couple years ago, what if you want to do a light or a white colored lighthouse? Well, we're going to say that because the sun is back in there, that we're doing a light or a dark color lighthouse, like a silhouette. Now, my reference I've got over here to the side. I need to look back at it in a second. I wanted to start with this because that's the hardest part there. And maybe there was a little, notice how I'm using that brush as a pointed tool, and then I'm just going to go across here. If I had not waited till the background dried and tried to do this, it would have bled. It would have leached out. And so I'm just filling this in. Now I can go over here, roll my brush, pick up some of that color, and I'm going along this edge first. I see my pencil mark there that I really don't like, and I might be able to erase that in a minute. I hope I can. I don't want to mess with it right now. Chances are I won't, because because, so the reason I'm going to do that edge, I'm going to hit this other edge too. I'm going to flip my board around. Don't be afraid to turn your artwork around. So I'm going to, yeah. And this is going to be down on that little island there. We'll come back to that. So now we can use our big brush, wash that out, dry it. You see why I did those edges. Now, I've got one little spot there I didn't do. So I'm going to use this big brush, just load it up, and I'm going to go boom, right through there, right through there. Maybe a little more darker color there. Don't want to mess your paint up. Okay, I got some black there. Obviously, you can tell I really don't like that I use that much black. Okay. Come up, and now I got to fix this with my small brush. So, I'm going to turn it back around here. Wash that out. Dry. Going to more purple, black. Yeah, you guys are able to see that. I'm going to come over here on this edge. I've got to find my reference photo here, or reference print. Make that a little bit. Make this more straight up and down. Just using this little brush because I have more control. I'm not going to worry about that island, but you all see that right there. I need to fix that, and I can't right now because if I do, it's going to bleed out in that island, and I don't want it to. So our island, we're going to let this dry. We'll find my reference. Okay, I'm back here with my reference. I designed my top a little different than the one over here, but I'm going to make this a little taller. And I'm going to make this other support there, I guess, for the roof in there. And I don't know about a light. There's a way that you can do that and make a really nice, so I'm going to do the other little support like through here. Want it more purple though than black, but it's already black, isn't it? So you can fatten this one up a hair, fatten this one up a hair, and then make this a little taller. Maybe a little. This doesn't feel quite right for some reason. Turn this around here a little bit. Yeah, right there's our. So now maybe. All right, we're going to let that dry. While that's drying, though, we're going to come down here to the bottom. I'm going to use my brush again. We're going to create some textures around this thing. If you look at this one, it's, you have to build these things on something pretty solid. Otherwise, if it's just on sand, it will sink. So they usually had to go back on the bank a little bit and find rock, creek bed or something to build it on. So we're just going to use our this brush. Let me wash it out. And we're going to use our medium-sized brush, but I'm going to dilute the water in it. And look what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, it's a fairly dry brush. I'm just picking this up, and I'm going to just lay it down there. I'm going to turn it around, because basically what I want is different levels of darkness and value around the base of this, because, and maybe even some, look, if we take the edge of that, we go boom, 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 straight up and down, you are creating a texture. Maybe there's some, okay. And we're going to bring that texture on out through here. This time, though, I'm going to get Wash this out a little bit. I pick up just a hair of brown. Remember, it was wet. A little bit of brown in there, and here's why, because we're going to go right through here. This is my own little take on this. You don't have to do it like this. You do it your own way. Now that's almost too much brown. Now, I haven't wet my green, but I'm going to wet the green. Let it set for a second or two. And we're going to grab some of that green while that brown's still wet. Because it's up close, wash my brush out. Right here. There we go. We want some of that local color, or whatever we can see up close in there. There might be some brown in there. You know, you could put yellow or whatever. I don't know if it'd show up on that. So you see what I'm going for here. Let's try a little bit yellow. We got some yellow right here that's still maybe. Hey, that's pretty good. Maybe just some wild hair texture back through here. Now the thing is, you can overwork it if you're not careful. Okay. So now we're just kind of creating that little rough texture. Okay, I want to go back here. Let's see. That's still a little wet. We're going to use this purple-like color. Go right next to the greenhouse. Want it watered down. Want it watered down because we don't want to water down. Oh yeah. See that now? We want just a little bit of that. So we know it's, you want the bottom part of that island a little bit darker because it's closer to the ground or farther away from the light. Farther, we're going to do a little bit of texture through there. Maybe. A little bit of texture. Yeah. We're going to work on this green or lighthouse again, guys. I'm going to use this color that I've got right through here. I'm going to kind of go with just some horizontal lines, you know. They might have made this kind of a little curve to them too, out of rock or some kind of stone. And these are going to dry. I'm not putting it on super thick, but it's almost transparent right here in the center of this where I used a large brush a while ago. So we'll definitely want to cover up that stuff. Create some kind of texture too on that. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these in person. They're pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Now those are that's gonna dry to a different color. You know, a little, alrighty. One other thing that I might consider doing, and it might be too late. I probably should have done this before I did the grass. I just got some water on my brush. I'm going to soften the edge of that shoreline. Matter of fact, you can kind of soften that and make it look like there's some waves washing in and out. Okay. You know, you can choose whether you want to put birds in this lighthouse or not. And now, someone always asks, why is there not a light in that lighthouse? Well, I'm going to do one with a light in it sometime. What you might do is let that dry real good. We'll let it dry. We'll go from there. Okay, guys, welcome back. I'm going to try something here. Don't know if it's going to work or not, but, you know, happy accidents, maybe. I've got a wet paper towel. I'm going to just push it there. Push it here. Push it, push it, push it, and try to, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to steal some of that color. You'll see why in a second. You know, in watercolor, in this pan watercolor, there's no white. So here's why I did that. I'm going to use some yellow right here. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to put it right there. The bad part is yellow and purple make brown. Now, I'm going to tell you to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to tell you to find some white paint and stick it on there. Let's go back down here at the bottom. Use some of our color here just to create some more, maybe even some of this yellow here. Textures, grab that brown. Okay, put it up over that. Boom. Anytime you do any kind of lines, you're creating texture, right? So I'm gonna call this one, you know, I think I might put some birds in there, make a little tiny line right there, just because that's where the ocean separates. All right, I'm gonna sign this one a little darker color. Yes. Uh-oh. See that? It's not dry. Have to sign her later, baby. Maybe. Let's do a little bit of blue, a little bit of black. So never sign it in a way where it's going to distract from your painting. I'm going to sign it right here. This is dry. S H E P 22. So I kind of erased that line there, and now we're going to peel our tape off. I'm going to do it nice and gentle. Remember, you go to, oh, look at there, accident. I think I'm doing it backwards. Oh, it's wanting to stick right there. It's the paper. There we go. Really. Okay. There we go. Thank you for watching.